All right, the tool I want to tell you all about today is called LINQPad. If you go to linkpad.net, this is what you'll see. It tells you that it's the .NET Programmer's Playground. It talks about some things that are great about it, testing your code, querying databases, output, several different things here. And here's a screenshot, and I'm going to actually show it to you. Probably the first thing you're wondering is there a dark mode? The answer is yes. That's the most important thing. And so this kind of shows you what the application looks like, which I'll show you here in a second. But we can connect to a database. There's where your queries are. There's sample code. And then here's where your code goes. And here's where the results are. So I'm switching it over to LINQPad now. Here's the dark mode that I mentioned. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, I've been using LINQPad for about 10 years. I've been developing with C# and SQL for 17 years. In the last 7 of those years, I've been a freelancer. So real quick, just to mention LINQPad, just to mention LINQ because it is in the name of the tool. If you're not familiar, it stands for Language Integrated Query, and it's query functionality in C# and VB. So you might think, okay, that's great. This is a tool. LINQPad is a tool for LINQ. It's like, well, yes, it is. It's designed for that, but it's so much more. I use it as a scratch pad for C#. Every once in a while, I have to touch some VB.NET. I really would rather not, but sometimes I have to, and it takes me a second to remember like the syntax and stuff. So right here where you're seeing this is just one big comment for my notes. This is where your code would go, and so that's where you can run your C# or your VB, or even F#. I don't use, but that's an option too. What I really like about it also is it's a lightweight SQL tool. I found that sometimes I had to run a query, and by the time I start SQL Server Management Studio, I can go back to LINQPad, open it up, write my query, get the results, and SSMS has still not loaded. So if you feel overwhelmed by Visual Studio or SSMS and you want something light, especially if you're new to C# or SQL, you might feel very overwhelmed, and I think this is a good way to get you using C# and SQL without feeling too intimidated. One great thing is that it's free. I do pay for an optional upgrade. It's mostly for IntelliSense. There are tons and tons of features I'm not going to have any chance to go through in this 5 minutes, but one is IntelliSense. You have to pay for that. So I would recommend if you're thinking about using LINQPad to download it and try the free version first, and you might find that it does everything you need. And like I said, it does a ton. You can write C# scripts without having to even create a project. You don't even have to save the code. This is definitely for your throwaway code. You're not writing your production code here. You can easily connect to a database, no connection string. There's this add connection here. It comes with a demo database, so I can look and see what tables and data I have there. There's NuGet integration for your libraries and packages. What I really like is just, like I said, I can write some code just really quick. One other thing I like about LINQPad as opposed to Visual Studio is this is where I can isolate a problem. So in Visual Studio, I see all my files, I'm thinking about all my different functions and classes, and if I just need to focus on one small thing, I like to do that in LINQPad. Some drawbacks. It's not really intended to replace your IDE, so you're going to be doing this in addition to Visual Studio or whatever else you use. There's no built-in source control integration, so it really is throwaway code. If you don't save it, it's gone. So you're going to have to be copying and pasting code back and forth. You can point it to your DLLs, but I find that I just copy just what I need to focus on it, figure out what I need to do, and then put my code back in Visual Studio to save it. Like I said, no IntelliSense if you're not paying, and the big downside is it's only Windows. So there are some alternatives I found that work on Mac and I think Linux, but I haven't used them, so I can't speak to them. But I do really like LINQPad. Like I mentioned, this is where you can do just a scratch pad for C# and VB code. Up here, you have the option to choose C# or VB or F#. Expressions, statements, programs. I had several demos to show you what those are. I can't get into any of that in 5 minutes, but it does come, like I said, with a lot of great example code here. So check that out. .dump is what you'll use to display things, or when I'm in expression mode like I am now, I could just highlight my code in F5. This is one thing I use LINQPad for a ton is date formatting, because I can never remember what these different codes mean. So anything else when you're in statement or program mode, you'll use .dump, and it has a really nice formatted display of whatever it is that you're dumping to the screen. I also really like it as a lightweight SQL tool. I can query my data here, so I can take 100. So this is where the LINQ comes in. This is LINQ code. This does take a second, but this shows you, and I think what people who are new to relational databases feel kind of uncomfortable with joining, and so this is one thing that's nice is like I can just click right here and see the joined data. I can export this to Excel or whatever. I really like this as a way to navigate the table structure, especially when I'm working with a new client, new project. I just want to see, and this is obviously a very small sample, database, but kind of see how the different tables relate to each other, and that can be really handy, especially as a visual person. If you want to get started, go download, again, Windows only, sorry. Go check out these code samples. I wish I could have shown you so much more code. You can connect to your database pretty easily here. There are drivers for Postgres, I use SQL Server. You can even connect to like JSON, XML, all sorts of things. So this is where you can start writing some C#. I would really recommend that you give it a try, whether you have a decade of experience or you're just getting started today. This would be a great way to use C#. And if you're not really wanting to get into C#, I do think that using this LINQ syntax is a good alternative to SQL. So if you have questions, can't take them now, but join us in Slack in the .NET or Databases channel. This Saturday, OKC Metro, Coffee and Code, we're going to be at the Norman Library, so find us on Meetup, and we can do those anytime you all want also. That's all. Thanks.